The, good evening. The May 23rd, 2024 Whatcom County Planning Commission meeting is called to order. I'll call the roll call. You know if you're here. Kelvin Barton, that's me. Daniel Dolphus. Atul Desmani. Jim Hansen. Stephen Jackson.
Present.
Frank James. Julie Jefferson.
Here.
Dominic Masseri.
Here.
Scott Van Dalen.
Here.
I'm used to you being over there.
Oh, believe me, totally. It's pretty weirded out, right?
All right. And welcome, everyone. Nice to see you. Good group here. Here. Please join me for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We are rearranging slightly tonight. We have a lot of people here that would like to speak, and so we're going to move department update till after our new business or meeting topics for tonight. So we'll pass on that, and it will be time for open session for public comment. And Becky, if we take over that.
Yes. Welcome to the meeting. This meeting is being broadcast live. The audio is being recorded and will be posted to the county website. As noted on our website, members of the public may watch the meeting or join online or by phone. During the open public comment session, speakers may not speak to items that are scheduled on the agenda for a public hearing tonight. We have no public hearing tonight, so you're open to speak on anything. If you would like to provide public comment at this time, we'll take your comments from those in the room first. Please come up to the podium and print your name on the sign-up sheet. If you are participating remotely and would like to speak, virtually raise your hand and we will get to you shortly. If using the internet, press the hand icon to raise your hand. If calling in by phone, press *9 to raise your hand. And go ahead, who's ever first on the sheet?
On the sheet, I am.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Dave Widener. I said when I came in here this evening that I kind of feel like the spotted owl. I'm sure you guys remember when it was used as a barometer of the health of the forest. I'm here representing people, small property owners that want to be able to develop outside the UGAs, real near the UGAs. The very professional report that the group from Portland gave us, the Leland group last meeting, was very polished, but I did not hear anything about the 11 million people that have crossed our southern border. There's more people cross the southern border than live in 30 states. What are we going to do with those people? We're going to have them working on our farms. We're going to have them doing our landscaping. Are they going to be living in tents behind Walmart? I think as a group, the planning commission will be disappointed in their product in December if they don't plan ahead for some sort of low-income housing with rules and regulations. I live in an apartment now. I'm going to be one of the people outside of the urban growth area when I age out of my apartment. I'll be living at my daughter's property. When we built it a few years ago, we had power for a trailer. We've got plumbing for a trailer. I'll be living in a trailer there. When the census happens, I'll be growth outside of the urban growth area. As a parcel delivery person for the post office for rural, I've been all over this county. And I'll guarantee you 20% of these properties have a trailer in them. The nicer the property, the nicer the trailer. Hardwired to the house, landscaping, roofs, people that are kids that can't afford a house, old people like me. There's some of them that have 5 and 6 trailers. And I suppose that if you wanted to zero out growth in the area outside urban growth areas, you could get code enforcement to go out there and put the boots to these people and they'd be living in tents behind Walmart. That's not our goal. I really do hope you guys aren't disappointed in your product if you don't encourage through code or language or acceptance some growth outside of the urban growth area. Our property is across the street from an urban growth area. Ferndale is the fastest growing place besides Bellingham. It just makes sense to let us, through some magic of code, subdivide it to put in a low income housing. And that's all I got to say.
Next.
Hi there. My name's Lisa Adam. I'm a resident of the Birchwood neighborhood near the HII on Marine Drive. First, I want to thank the county council and staff for listening to the community concerns over the location of a new heavy industry ABC recycling they wanted to locate in this area. This past year plus has been hard on residents. Countless hours spent as a community fighting the effects of this new heavy industry and what it would bring to a neighborhood of homes, childcare, schools, and businesses. I have no doubt this impacted the county and city councils as well, as our concerns grew louder and stronger as the process moved along. So thank you to council and staff for listening to our concerns. I also want to thank Save the Waterfront Foundation, as this group helped tremendously to get the voices of Bellingham out in front of the city and the county. Now, moving forward, if good can come from this experience, it seems that we are much more aligned in our awareness, and for that, I'm extremely grateful. I appreciated the Tuesday night discussion amongst the county council members that heavy impact industrial land needs to be looked at for relocating in a more compatible area away from housing residents and preferably away from sensitive environments like Bellingham Bay. I appreciate the desire to make this part of the current comprehensive plan evaluation to be done by the end of 2025. And I appreciate the desire to provide a stopgap measure to restrict HII from locating in this area until the process can be completed through the comprehensive plan. I agree with Council Member Ellenboss. It's a much better process to be evaluating these land uses, these land use decisions without the pressure of a current submitted permit. I do have concerns, however. I don't exactly know how to achieve this as I think about the moratorium process. Instead of waiting for the moratorium vote, they submitted a hurried and incomplete permit application the day before so as to skirt the county council vote. I don't for a minute doubt this could happen again. I know that a moratorium is a dirty word, but it seems it would give residents a level of protection we have been asking for until the community has had a chance to weigh in on more aspects of the planning process and answer questions about light industry, mixed use, and housing, and how we can integrate these concepts in that area. Even this process for placing further restrictions on HII could take 3 to 6 months, allowing for another industry to move in without the desired restrictions. So I ask you to be swift and decisive to restrict any further from locating here so we can all take a breath and work together without having to repeat an ABC-like experience. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Scott Jones, and I am a Bellingham Planning Commissioner. But tonight I am here to represent Save the Waterfront, a local community-focused organization. On Tuesday, the County Council expressed unanimous interest in possibly removing HII zoning from the Alderwood UGA. Until that change is made in the comp plan in 2025 or later, the county must protect residents by making changes in the uses and dangers allowed on heavy industrial lands in the Bellingham UGA. As the HII areas in this UGA have no buffers and are in close proximity to homes and sensitive ecosystems, only the equivalent lesser dangers of light industrial make sense in this interim period. This is consistent with current policies expressed in the Ermine Fridge Sub-Area Plan, which notes that compatibility with residential neighborhoods in the county and in Bellingham is a high priority. Currently, there are many uses listed as permitted or conditional in the HII code of 2068 that could be dangerous to the environment or should not be allowed due to the residential nature of the area. Of course, someday the UGA HII land will be inside Bellingham boundaries. Heavy industry sticks around for a long time. Its pollution even longer. We urge you not only to add many of those permitted uses to the prohibited list, along with new like metal shredding, processing, or storage, but also go further and change the performance standards, which I've handed out tonight, for HII in the Bellingham UGA to those listed for LII, light industrial. It is a clear, clean, and concise change that we feel will expedite this first step to offer needed protection as soon as possible. With the change to 2066 performance standards, the risk of a new unknown activity such as server farms, since the last review, or a forgotten activity as mentioned in your agenda, will be minimized, as the standards will limit the dangers allowed, not just the specific activities. This will get us closer to the protections we're hopeful will be put in place by a comp plan change in the coming months, where we can get partway there much sooner by making code text amendments now. As mentioned, with this change to the performance standards of heavy industrial to light industrial, we also recommend that the following prohibited activities be added to 2068-203. Those are the ones within the Bellingham UGA. Metal shredding, metal processing, or metal storage. Thank you.
Before you sit down, I
Yes, sir.
just want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
So, we've been looking at the letters you've been sending to us, and you talk about things that shouldn't be there, and we see that there's some of the comments are related to it being its proximity to the waterfront. Or would you put the ones that you don't believe should be there? Where do you think they should go?
So I've never mentioned anything about the waterfront in this case.
Well, I'm not saying you did, but
Oh.
we have gotten letters
Okay.
and they've said the proximity to the waterfront.
Right.
So that was.
Because the bay is a concern.
Yeah.
So as of Tuesday night, when the planning committee spoke, John, Ben and Todd, that they all seem pretty okay, at least with having the really strong discussion of having a new set of HII lands designated somewhere else in the county that is not in the municipal UGA, and it's about 100 acres. And so that could be found elsewhere. And with the port's inventory of industry lands, we should be able to find that land pretty easily. And then there would be a win-win for everybody. We still get our HII lands, but we still get to have the Bellingham UGA have light industrial, residential, or mixed use.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
My name is Brian, and I also live in the Birchwood neighborhood. We started a process to build a home. Upon finishing our home 7-8 months ago, we learned about the potential for the ABC recycling to come into our community. Having been a hazmat human most of my life, I understood the potential catastrophic events that could transpire should something like ABC, a metal shredder, enter our community. I immediately jumped in to being part and parcel to share the awareness with our community. Several reasons. Number one, turns out I'm getting older. Well, all this, toxic fumes are not good for us. More than that, our children, our land, our bay should not have to contend with yet another dose of stupid brought by heavy industry. It makes no sense to carry forward an archaic concept in a community that a long time ago had a concept that the port is stepping all over. There was a plan, and the port is trying to change that plan. This, again, should not be allowed to transpire on our watch. This is our community. The port has an objective. I understand that. I'm not against metal recycling, never have been. It can be done nicely. ABC is not the group that will choose to do it correctly. We told them, I talked with David. I told him I could help them engineer it to do it correctly. Not a word about, oh, how do we go about that? They paid no attention. Other industry like ABC will come if they can, if you allow it, and they will do the same thing. They won't pay attention. It's a dollar. They're looking for the dollar. We're looking for taking care of our community. So I am hoping that y'all will understand it's not just me. There's a big group of humans that desire to have a safe, clean arena for our kids, our animals, and our kids' kids to be able to live and play in perpetuity. Thank you very much.
Anyone else wishing to speak?
Aloha, thank you for your time. My name is Ryan Bowman. I live in the Marietta district area. The UGA area, I think, is just a lesson in, preparation, which kind of plays out through a lot of the things that you do here, planning committee. When we designate a UGA, it would be wise to, when we designate that UGA, which is a predetermined area for growth, that we handle these items of zoning when we do that, like as just like a step one, like what is this going to be? How can we long-term plan this? So we don't end up with issues like this ABC metal shredder problem that we had, or continuing it on talking about moratoriums because we're still not prepared for that scenario. Takes up a lot of time, and your time is precious, and there's a lot to do, as you already know. We have been disrespected by these industries. That's really what ABC did. We asked them to do one thing, and they continually kept kicking the can down the road until it just got too much. And that level of disrespect isn't something that's going to be very good look on our community for other companies that are going to try to take advantage the same way. We live in this culture and a corporate society that does that. We know that. We should be prepared for that. The issue isn't about where we would put the heavy industry. It's about how we go about making sure that it's secure. These companies are coming in with a lot of money. If they want to do heavy industry here, we need to be looking at innovative ways to encapsulate that industry to prevent historic issues that we've continued. So maybe we can look at them being in this location, but the standards for that location are going to be elevated and cost a lot more for them to encapsulate it, close it, assure us that we're not going to continue in making the historic mistakes that we have already made in our past. We have to learn from that and move forward for the sake of our children and our children's children and those community members that we cherish and we do all this hard work for. So I think moving forward, it would be great to long-term plan this. I think unfortunately, the moratorium does make the most sense right now so that we can encapsulate this, deal with it, and not continue the cancer that is caused with the irritation of the community and prevent that. And then moving forward, set some standards so that we don't continue that on. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Is there anyone participating remotely that wishes to speak? Anyone else wish to speak?
Right. So let's move on now. We move department update. Time for commissioner comments. Any commissioner comment? Okay, and I don't believe we have minutes in this packet. So, that will be, postponed until the next meeting. And so the, topic for tonight, will be, senior planner. I can't, no. I don't know that I need that. Senior planner Chris Strong will be doing the presentation for us. Go ahead, Cliff. Sure.
Let's see. Trying to make it a little easier. I gotta share this thing, don't I?
Yeah, go to the Zoom, the blue circle,
The blue circle.
click on the black, yeah,
And then,
down here with the green box,
there it is.
and then click on the top.
All right. No mode.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. What just
It's
happened?
thinking.
All right, tonight we're just holding a workshop with the planning commission on docket item PLN 2024-7. And that's heavy impact uses in the UGA. So, you know, coming from once the ABC recycling was applied for and the council heard from the neighbors. They added to the docket, amend the Whatcom County Code, chapter 2068, and other relevant sections of Title 20 to define appropriate industrial uses and conditions for industrial uses in the HII districts within a city's designated urban growth area. There are no other UGAs that have HII in them other than the Cherry Point urban growth or UGA. So really it only applies to this one neighborhood. Tonight, what we're asking the planning commission to do is just review the uses that are currently allowed in the HII zone and suggest which ones might be incompatible and appropriate within the Bellingham UGA. And then we can add those to 2068-203, which is the section that says all these uses are allowed except these things in the Bellingham UGA. So the neighborhood, as I said, is the Olivewood neighborhood. Right now it's made up of a mix of light, heavy industrial, residential zones, commercial zones, and some recreation and open space zone. And this map is in your packet. I'm going to zoom in on the part that kind of really matters. So this was the ABC Recycling Center. This is the old concrete plant. Here's the lumber yard over here. This is also some kind of industrial park, light industrial parks. And then you see there's a bunch of residential throughout. Okay, are you guys oriented to the area? Okay, so currently that one section that prohibits, you know, some of the uses that are typically allowed in the HI zone are listed in section 203. And that's petroleum refineries, manufacturing and processing of rubber, plastics, chemicals, paper, asbestos, et cetera, and then primary metal industries. It's a shame it says primary metal industries instead of metal industries, but there you go. So the immediate issue is how do we, you know, keep another similar use coming in here before we get to amending the comp plan and the zoning map, right? So that's why we're kind of fast tracking this portion of it, text amendment. And then there are some other options that I can get into later that are more long-term solutions. So that's the background of it. So now I just wanted to open it up for discussion with the planning commission. I'd given you in your packet the use section out of HII, and I'm hoping you all kind of gone through that and have some ideas for what might not be appropriate there. And then from that, I'll develop the code and then bring that back to you at a later date.
So Cliff, I'll just go ahead and get this started. So, can you back up to the one that was giving, the primary metal industry? And I'm not saying this is the solution, but what would be the impact if we took primary off of the front of that?
It would apply to all metal industries.
And I do understand that, but I'm not an expert in the metal industries, and so I'm really wondering, is there something there? Would there be an impact that it would take something that we really don't care about, you know, that is, would technically fall under that, but isn't having an impact?
Yeah, the problem with trying to remove specific things like our current code does is that there's always new things being invented, new processes and things, right? And so if you don't think of it at the time, or, you know, it didn't exist at the time, it might not be in the code. Okay. I mean, we could just say all metal industries that should cover it. You know, or you could expand it like one of the audience members suggested, all metal industries, recycling of, manufacturing of. So if that's the direction you want to go, I can come up with the language later.
And then if, let's just say we did that, then that would leave the Cherry Point Industrial to the industrial area.
It does, if we put what's prohibited in the Bellingham UGA in this area. But that said, you know, metal's not the only thing. There are lots of other things that are allowed in the HII. That's why I gave you those lists. That might have kind of the same negative impacts on people. So, okay.
What about when you lump metal industries just like that? Now we have, what about a business like More Steel, which has never really had a huge uproar or anything like that against them, but
I don't know the company, so what do they do?
They're a large company in the same neighborhood area. And they handle a lot of steel work, just coming from the construction industry. So when you all of a sudden lump some metal out, they're a huge outfit, and they do a lot of work, and there's a lot of
Do they manufacture or they just
process, bend, exactly, cut metal, bend it, you know,
all done
rebar, form rebar for all the projects that get built all over Bellingham and Whatcom County.
Is it all done indoors?
Yep,
So that's in the more modern codes, that's often how they separate light from heavy. It's light industrial can only be done indoors, whereas heavy industry can be done in or outdoors.
sure. And
Yeah.
my point is though, when you do something, we have to be somewhat careful so we're not throwing the baby out with the
I
bathwater,
agree.
so to speak.
I agree, that's why we're having this conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
Commissioner Lasseri.
Yeah, it's kind of a tough one. I feel like we have a tendency in this community is that we just kind of let things lie until somebody tries to submit a permit for something, and then if enough people complain, we decide we need to change things up. Seems like a terrible way to do planning, for both the community and the landowners and applicants. So to me, it's like to go through here and then try to pick out some, like you said, well, 6 months from now, somebody applies for something else that the community doesn't like. It seems like, and listening to what the council members said, that, you know, that longer process where they're gonna change it, or they're talking about changing it, at least having the discussion, is that they're questioning if that zoning at all should be there, right?
Right. The issue with changing the zoning is it does take a comp plan amendment, so, and we're in the middle of our comp plan update, so council did pass a motion the other night directing us to do that, to look into that. So we will be exploring it, but that's, you know, that's gonna be another year and a half, 2 years before we can get to it. So we think that by at least identifying some heinous uses that nobody wants in that area, this can be a quicker process to at least forestall something like that being applied for.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a couple of thoughts. One, moratorium were brought up in one of the speakers. I just cringe a little bit when moratoriums get thrown out there every time somebody applies for something we don't like. I think it's at least worth discussing it, though. I also don't know if just applying the performance standards or something like that from the light industrial also doesn't, maybe isn't a good, or maybe is not a bad option as well, so. I don't know, I guess I'm just talking out loud or thinking out loud.
Yeah, so that's the point of this conversation.
But I'm,
I appreciate, some of you, that are your, citizens that came to talk and you have opinions. I've seen it hand come up a couple of times and we can call on you. But, it would be one of the commissioners generally would call on you and, if there's someone here that's an expert in a field, we would appreciate knowing that, in one of these fields, but I just want to point out that we don't normally take, comments from the audience after we've had our public comment period. So we're not ignoring you because we don't want to hear what you have to say, but we're just trying to follow our normal process.
Right.
I know you have a professional planner or anything now.
I do. Yeah, and I was friends with his brother for a long time. That's not full disclosure. Commissioner Masseri, and some of his points, so, and what would happen if it was, the primary metal industries, what if it was light industrial metal industries?
Or only metal industries that are done indoors or something like that. I don't know what a light industrial metal industry is. I can look into our code and see. So I'll just start.
I just want to make sure you've got a couple of commissioners who are hidden from you, so I just want to make sure you don't forget about that.
Oh, but you have access. Yeah, that's doing here.
They are not showing up yet, that,
No hands raised.
no hands raised. Commissioner Masseri?
I mean, one thing would be to just completely take what's in the light industrial and replace that in the heavy industrial, the allowed uses and the performance standards.
combine the two.
Just pull out what's currently listed in the heavy industrial, allowed uses and put in what's in the light industrial. It may not stop everything again, but light industrial is questioned as much and considered, maybe that will actually be part of the zoning in the future.
Are you talking about just for the metal text or for all the?
For everything.
For everything.
I mean, I kind of cringe to just say there's an applicant for some metal industry we don't like, so we're gonna do that. And then 6 months from now, somebody applies for something else that isn't here we don't like, and we're back here again, Seems like just a bad way to do planning. So I guess I'm just trying to get a little bit more in front of it than just talking about the metal.
And again, if you turn to your memo I sent you, all the uses that are allowed there already, or, you might just go through that instead of saying this one, this one, this one. In fact, I've taken the opportunity, you guys did get a couple of public comments. And I kind of condensed them all into something from you or from them. So this is what some of the members of the public had suggested. And there's 3 pages of this, so I'm letting you read this one.
Yeah. There was a lot.
Yeah. Let me know when I can click if everybody's read those and I can move to the next one.
These are things that the neighbors don't want to have.
We've received 4 written public comments, 2 of which included this list that I kind of combined.
So the property owners that bought the property for heavy industrial can't do any of this stuff with their property.
That's just the suggestion by a couple of members of the public. So there's those, there's these. And there's these. So that these were just sent to you by members of the public. I'm just throwing them up there as part of your discussion.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Commissioner Jefferson.
I apologize. I was trying to catch up. I have my emails open, but we aren't able to see what you're seeing. Our screen is just showing the same docket item. Is it possible that we can see what you are looking at?
It's not scrolling right now because I'm scrolling the screen.
No, it's been on the docket all the whole time.
If you stop share and then reshare the one that's on the far left, that's your active screen. So if you stop share,
So that this can tell, this stops the, how can I do it from here?
Yeah, you can
There it is.
and show.
Escape. All right, so stop the share,
Stop the share, so that's that red up at the top, yeah,
stop that share,
yeah. And now go back to shared screen,
yeah. Click the
like
arrow,
that,
man.
no, the green, click that, the one that says screen. If you click that up on the top,
This one,
that, yeah, that's your active screen, everything that's on your computer. And so if you don't want the side slides to show, then you could set that differently in your side show, but I would ask if they can now see this, they should be able
let's see if
to,
we- let me-
I can now see the map.
okay,
Thank you.
All
Yeah.
right,
Thank you.
there we go.
all the time.
All right, so there's the map. This is the section that prohibits certain uses in the Bellingham UGA. And then I was just telling the commissioners this compilation of some of the suggestions made by the public through written comment. There's 3 pages of these. If you get through it and want me to forward it, let me know.
Did you say you already just sent those out to us? The comments, the 3 pages?
They were sent to the, they were sent to the planning commission email address, so they went out to
Okay.
you.
I'll go look
And-
again. Thank you. Sorry
And
for interrupting.
Commissioner Jefferson, these were sent in several letters and Cliff has compiled them from those letters, what you're seeing on the screen right now.
Okay.
That's the last page of them. So far I've gotten from you, y'all, tighten up the phrase about primary metal industries, but do it in such a way that doesn't tread on some of the existing indoor use ones there. And then also turn to the LII uses, and maybe just allow only those types of uses in the UGA. Are there any other suggestions? Any other discussion?
Was there any, I mean, I didn't see any, but was there any comment from any of the industry that was on any of these properties?
No, not yet.
How, Cliff, how would that affect our ones that are already there?
It would become, well, if whatever the council eventually prohibits from being there, if there are some of those uses there, they would become non-conforming uses. And frankly, our non-conforming use regulations are the laxest I've ever seen. They allow you to continue, they allow you to expand, so I don't know that that has much bearing on those condition uses.
What more do you need? tonight, do you think?
Well, if that's your entire list, it would be easy for me to write up, but if you don't want to add more to the list,
What do you think, though?
I mean, do you want to allow a
It's got
type
handle.
3 solid waste handling facility in there?
The commissioner was there, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm somewhat conflicted on the whole process. I feel like it's a shame we haven't heard anything from any but the businesses there. I don't know. I mean, they had just as much opportunity to hear about this as anybody. So, they did have an opportunity to comment, but it's always nice to get feedback from both sides.
Yeah.
Because they do have property rights there as much as anybody. So that's part of the idea when I heard we were gonna go through and just start Xing things out and stuff, I would have a hard time doing that, just because it seems like there could be a lot of unintended consequences with that. So that was my idea between the light industrial, but I'm not even sure that's even the best idea. It's just one thought I had.
On the other hand, I have direction from council to get them on such a list, so. That's why I'm asking you guys to help, because I had a hard time trying to say, oh, this one, yes, this one, no.
Thanks, Commissioner Van Dalen, go ahead.
We have this lady,
Expert comment, maybe?
Yeah.
On our, some of our heavy industrial, Lisa, Anderson, Bellingham City Council. Not that I'm representing that, but I have information pertinent. Some of our heavy industrial, one of the things that is listed that I don't think I see here is, manufacturing and storage of explosive materials. So you may not want a, fireworks facility to be going in there to build fireworks, because that could be quite hazardous. And I don't see that there. Or dynamite.
Well, and remember, this is just
Yeah.
a list proposed by a couple of citizens.
Yeah,
It's not what the planning commission's developed.
when you were saying, a list, and is there anything missing? I
Well,
would just
I
want
meant
to
of the
throw
two
that.
they've given me so far.
Okay, thank you.
Regarding the
Chair better find on it.
regarding the county council's instruction to the planning commission, it also states the word conditions, not just activities. And
Can you speak just a little louder?
I'm sorry,
State your name, please.
yes, Scott Jones, I am a Whatcom County resident. It also states in the instructions from county council to look at the activities, but also the conditions of the heavy industrial nature of the activity. And that is where the standards come in that I offered you by a list of the pages that I offered you. And those standards could be the conditions that would be overarching, that would handle all the concerns of the dangers of a heavy industrial activity. So that would be going along the lines of what the county has asked for.
Commissioner Van Dalen.
could we have what he has presented there, have that reviewed by somebody? I mean, I guess I'm looking for a little guideline here. There's so many items. I mean, it's just so many. You know what I'm saying? It's like, if you got 2 or 3 things to work on, great. 150 all at one time from the county council or whoever, we need a little more direction, I think, is what I'm seeing. That's just what I'm seeing.
I felt the same way when I got this.
Okay. Okay, good, because I'm like, my goodness, I mean, we need a little direction.
I can't give it to you. All I
Yeah.
have is what the council has said so far.
That kind of confirms, when I first read what we were gonna do tonight, I just thought, my goodness, this is a wide open, just wide open. It is not a simple little thing. Okay. That's it. I was just expressing that.
Well, I'll express my opinion here is I think that we need to go along the line of what we were talking about of maybe changing primary metal industries to indoor metal industries that they are allowable. And some of those restrictions, because I don't think we could, we will leave something out that shouldn't be, and we would allow something else I don't think we can go through this it would take a couple of sessions to go through this and talk about it. Yeah, I think we need some kind of verbiage that, takes care of what, county council is looking for, but I don't think we can do it. You know, there might be one or two on here that really specifically we could say, but we need some verbiage that is going to cover most of this. Or most of what shouldn't be allowed.
Chairman, Held.
Oh, yeah, sorry, just a second. Commissioner Jackson, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm almost always opposed to doing carve outs like what's being considered. And so I think that we need a work session, to be honest, or a couple of work sessions to just go over everything that's being proposed. I don't want to, as Commissioner Mosseri mentioned, I don't want to do anything hastily and have any unintended consequences. We've seen way too much of that over the past, 10 years or so. So I'm gonna just be opposed to doing any carve outs at this time, but I think that a couple of work sessions might do us good.
Commissioner Van Dalen.
We did have two different hands. This fellow back here had his hand.
And Steve.
All right, would you like to call on them?
Yes, that would. Did you had your hand raised? Yes.
Yeah, Mark Strumler, Whatcom County Council. Cliff, could you elaborate a little bit on more of that grandfathering where if, let's say, something like this were to go through, what about all the current operations going on? What?
So, as I mentioned, we do have rules about non-conforming uses, but they are the laxest I have ever seen in any code. They essentially allow you to continue, they allow you to expand, they allow you to change to a different non-conforming use. So I'm not really sure what the point of the rules are.
Well,
But we do have.
there are some additional constraints on those, and there are some individual requirements that build into each one of those things that you described. So there are some constraints on those nonconformities. But those nonconformities, what that is something that's legally established. But then the rules change, and so it continues to continue. In each one of those shifts that is described, there is specific things that have to occur for that to occur, what can expand. So there are additional criteria that are.
But essentially, if you have a legal business in an area and the zoning gets changed on you, you can continue to do that. That's pretty standard practice. Often jurisdictions use it, if an area like this is changing over time and a jurisdiction may decide that they want to, move these things out, have them move elsewhere. They'll make them non-conforming uses, have stricter rules than what we do, so that over time, it converts into a different type of neighborhood.
Who goes and tells these people, businesses, sorry, if that is the case?
Now that you're on county council, too.
No, that ain't my job. I
I'm-
wouldn't want to be the one. I wouldn't want to be the one going and telling them, if that goes in place, sorry, you gotta pack up and go.
They don't.
Eventually, they would.
That's not what I'm hearing.
When they choose to grandfather,
We get to continue.
No more buildings.
As they are.
when they choose to leave it, and then it changes over to a different use. But you're legally allowed to continue that use.
Can't expand it, or still can't build a new.
It's wrong.
Okay, well, these are the kind of things I want to bring up because, I think we're headed towards a path here tonight and I don't know if we need to make a motion for this. If we need to have more work sessions, then we better schedule more work sessions if we could nail this down rather than doing something. Was it Stephen that commented? I'm not sure. And inconsequential, make mistakes while we're doing it. That's my thought.
So if that's chairs and commissions wish, I guess I would like more input on how you would like that structured. Is there anything more I could provide you to make that an easier process for you?
Commissioner Masseri, go ahead.
Sounds like we're gonna spend a lot of time rewriting this code that they're just gonna rezone out of here, but that would be a little bit of my concern with that. So. I would prefer a solution that doesn't single out specific industries but buys the county and the city enough time to deal with this. That's my thought.
I can agree with that.
So how would you like to handle it? You want to make a motion? Either one of you, or Commissioner Jefferson or Commissioner Jackson, make a motion on how we should proceed. It does sound like we're gonna need another meeting or two on this for workshop.
I think so.
Commissioner Masseri?
Yeah, I don't disagree, although I don't know what we'll be talking about at the next meeting.
I know, and that's where
Yeah,
I feel for Cliff, he's gonna hand us the same thing again.
exactly.
I can see it, I can see it coming, and, that doesn't solve anything.
Well, perhaps the commission can talk about approaches. That might be a good conversation now. Is that approach, looking at individual uses? Is that approach something more like Commissioner Seri put forward? What might that approach look like? That may be the first conversation, and then you can narrow that down.
I'd like to call the gentleman in the back row.
So I very much appreciate all of your discussion. What might it look like and feel like for y'all if a very clever group of concerned citizens that actually has a pretty comprehensive concept of how to achieve what you're talking about and how to not go past what you're talking about and how to hear all the avenues where it could get screwed up like you're talking about. So as part of the Save the Waterfront, we have been looking at how to achieve all of the above. The byline here created by this young man here is no bad stuff. Simple concept helps to define your concept. If you turn the HI into LI, it effectively still allows for a huge percentile minus all the bad stuff because the LI does not allow the VOCs, it doesn't allow the noise, it doesn't allow the vibration, it doesn't allow the dangerous layers of what heavy industrial tends to. We have been working 18 months for this guy, 7-8 months for the rest of us, intensively. I'm talking 30-some people, thousands of hours, trying to help. We want to help the community. We want to help in guiding and learning, and because we don't want to see anybody, get their balls busted. That, hey, I've got this property and I can't use it. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to help create a safe arena in perpetuity, like I said earlier, for, the biggest percentile. The only thing that's damaging us is the degradation of the super crazy HI. So we have a lot of ideas that we've been constructing and putting together. We would love to have the opportunity to help steer you. I mean, this is an amazing group of super smart people. They let me just hang out with them.
Sir, could you state your name, please?
I am Brian Sarnik.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'd like to call on Dave.
Yeah, Dave Widener, I'm on the other side of this issue as a developer. And one thing that I haven't heard anybody in the 30 people talking about is lawyers. If you've got a property owner, like Mr. Strimler says, that hasn't developed it, but bought the property because it's heavy industrial, and now all of a sudden you don't want to see somebody breaking up glass bottles to recycle them inside of a building because it might make some noise. They bought the property for that reason. I think y'all need to include a lawyer on your team, a land use lawyer, to say, can we take away a property owner's zoning now when we're right in the middle of a comprehensive plan change? I don't see the urgency. I really don't. We're doing a very comprehensive plan change. Let's be a little more structured about it and get legal involved. But I just don't see how you can do it. You'll have some repercussions.
Commissioner Rosari.
Did council say why they didn't just put a moratorium on the area?
I have not heard that. Maybe Councilmember Stemler. Do you know?
I do not know, but we're trying to keep the word moratorium out of our conversation.
I just seen it used a lot in the past, so.
Don't want to interrupt. but
Go ahead, Scott.
It seems messy. And I see that it's messy, and messiness creates need for attorneys. And it makes people angry. The cleanliness of the performance standards that takes away the dangers that the community is concerned about. The harmful fumes, air and water pollution, vibration. That's all gone with just that simple sheet. Going from 2068 to 2066 with those standards. It's clean, it's clear, it's concise. And I would really recommend, if you would like to continue to look down that list instead of only looking at the activity list. It has the conditions that the county council asked for, and it's very clear exactly what it does not allow, which are the dangers, and does allow industry. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
So, question for Cliff, based on that one-page list. Can we have that list and advice by others, have that reviewed and see if we're going down a good path, looking at that more? Is that an option?
I think it's entirely possible to incorporate this into the HII zone, or at least within the Bellingham UGA.
And what I'm looking for is more of a review of it by somebody, if whether that's the county attorney, I don't know.
Like a legal review?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we can run it past, I mean, eventually all this gets run past our attorney.
It just seems to me that it would be a good next step.
Just leaving the uses of the HI and taking the performance standards of the light industrial and imposing it on that, cause any complications? And then I have a question for you or anybody in your group who wants to speak. Is that a path that you see has less resistance than just also adopting the uses out of the light industrial? Or is there a reason why you would leave the heavy industrial uses and just apply the standards to it?
So I hear you guys, you're concerned, and as am I, for our economy, our jobs, our industry. And it still allows for the heavy industrial activities. So as long as they can make sure that they don't harm the environment or the residents that have no buffer around these three zones, which are 100 acres. There's only 3 areas, actually only 2. One's right on the water, that's very tiny. And if these standards are put in place, that the heavy industrial activities could still occur as long as they didn't infringe. Making sure that heavy metals, lead, doesn't go over to Alderwood Elementary School, things like that, because there is 0 buffer for the protection of our community. The zones being heavy industrial, they just shouldn't be there. And that's why we're looking at changing them. And so these standards make sure that we stay safe. but the activities can still exist so that people can still continue to do business. So it's a win-win for everyone.
But do you think that gets messy if you take these standards and put that on that next time one of these businesses or a new one comes in and tries to apply for some of these heavy industrial uses?
So right now, this is the ABC recycling one, and it's vacant. This is the concrete plant, and I understand they don't do much there anymore. Is that right? Anybody confirm that?
That's pretty much the case.
So, and then this one is operated by our park, right? Doesn't go over any of the buildings. This is the only one that's kind of in operation right now. So, and I don't know if they would exceed any of these performance standards at this time. If we imposed them in the general neighborhood, then it would apply to this. And whether they exceed those right now or not, I don't know.
But they'll be grandfathered in, sir, I'm sorry to interrupt you. They'll be grandfathered in if they're already
For
in
uses,
activity.
but I don't think performance standards are usually grandfathered.
That's Bell lumber, by the way, and
Yeah.
they treat lumber, so it would be a significant issue for them,
Well,
that whole property development.
Commissioner Sarah.
well, that's definitely a big question then. Regardless if you flat out took all of the light industrial and superimposed it, or just took the performance standards and superimposed it on the heavy industrial, if that's not gonna be grandfathered in, that's a big piece to know.
Yeah, the use would be, but if we do performance standards, I don't think I've never heard of performance standards, exceeding the performance standards being grandfathered.
So, if looking at this and some of the comments that have been made by the commissioners, I would like to hear what legal has to say.
To what they'll say, what is your specific question? And I know those attorneys.
Okay, so exactly that. We know these businesses that are operating there. There has to be some kind of legal opinion on, because we've talked about what is it called now? It used to be Oser, now it's Bell.
Yeah.
Okay, and more steel is in that same group right in there off of West Illinois, and the one I mentioned earlier.
Are they in this?
Yes,
HII
yes,
zone?
yes.
Okay, yeah, because it's limited and there's more.
That's the metal, yeah. So we need a little legal guideline on that, we really do.
About
Follow the property.
On how it impacts the existing businesses.
on how performance standards would, if we did those, it would
That,
impact?
yeah. And how that's affected grandfather wise, so we know.
Sorry for interrupting again.
No, go ahead.
But you could put in a grandfather clause, so if they aren't vested already. By default, you could put that in there saying, and everyone who's doing business can continue to do business as they are.
And that's why I would want a legal opinion on that to begin with. We got a lot of folks that want to talk, Chair. Let's go here next.
I just didn't know if either Cliff or Steve, if you guys knew the status of Bell Lumber's kiln permit, if that was a fairly large natural gas kiln for baking their poles, I mean, that's still in process, or
I don't. What's
Okay. Is that they permitted, they applied for that permit under the HAI standard? I don't know what that would change if it.
Just recently, I don't know what permits are applied for under your system.
They would be vested if they applied for that. They would be vested already then.
Are you saying they just recently applied for one, or?
It was last year, so.
Last year.
I don't know.
So it might be involved, so it might not be, okay.
Okay, and state your name again.
Chris,
State your name.
Oh, sorry, Chris Beatty.
Okay, now I'll call, state your name.
Dave Widener, there's a question I have about grandfathered in and being vested, especially on the vacant lots. There in that larger area. Since there's nothing there, but the person that owns it. If they were to sell that because they purchased it because it was heavy industrial. And you did this silliness. They could no longer develop it as heavy industrial, so their property value goes down. So the legal department should be asked that question. Does it follow the property or does it follow the owner? If it follows the property, this is moot. In my opinion.
That's a valid point.
So, yeah, so Cliff, I think that we need a workshop. And, I think that we need the county attorney to take a look at it. And make sure that whatever we do, that we've accommodated the legal issues. And, I think we've got a good session here to get some of the issues. That's what I think we need to do, Commissioner Masari.
I'd like to reach out to the property owners in those zones and try to get some feedback from them. There are ways to have to do that.
I would think so, yeah, I'm sure we could do that and make them aware of your next workshop.
We are, what is our next date?
June 13th.
So that actually gives us,
Is that the next meeting? Because I think Steve was talking about doing it. once from now.
That's our next regular.
Well, if this is the desire of the commission, then we can hold that meeting. What's our, do we have time to?
If we're just having a work session, it's fine.
We can just invite them to the work session.
I think I wouldn't be able to get much preparation out there, and it only gives the attorney basically to get stuff together.
We don't need anything until the third.
Third,
Can we leave it open that if you see that it just isn't happening in that timeline? I mean, I hate bumping things back too. Nobody likes that, but if we need to bump it back, then we bump it back.
The 27th.
Yes,
okay,
okay.
we will try to.
I'd rather have it all together than not. Half baked is no good.
Yeah, so we'll try to pull together something for your next meeting, but if it just doesn't look like we can get it all done in time, then we'll do it the following.
Perfect, good.
Commissioner Masari.
And then can I ask this group to submit something, as you said, that you guys would maybe propose something to us as well?
Absolutely. That'd be good. Be great. Thank you for the opportunity.
I do not believe we need a motion for this. So, let's go ahead and do that. And so unless there's some comments from commissioners they feel need to be made, you can make those. Otherwise, we are done with our business for tonight unless, who they'd like to bring up. Okay. Not seeing any issues, so Commissioner Masari.
You pushed, department update to the end.
Oh.
They thought he was gonna get out.
Come on now.
Good job, Commissioner Masari.
At the little table tonight.
Can you give me just a second here, maybe give me a second here to get my stuff up on the screen.
Oh. And let me close that off. So you can still, and share and then reshare. Share, oh, somebody had her hand raised instead.
Please close the comment
Section. There you go.
Oh, you did it.
While you're working on that,
Yep.
we have an attendee, is that Motorola Edge? Would you like to speak to us? One of the attendees.
This is Commissioner Hanson. It took me all meeting to get so I could participate. I've been listening.
Oh, good.
Commissioner Hanson, go ahead.
And I just wanted to say that I agree with the person who said we should deal with this in the context of the overall comp plan and our zoning. Not only do we need heavy industrial somewhere, you can't take it away one place without adding it another, but we also would want to think about repercussions of turning this light industrial or just zoning it something entirely different, repercussions on the neighborhood. I think I would be looking at increasing density in the Birchwood neighborhood anyway, and doing away with this pollution would be another good reason to increase their density. So it seems in inappropriate to do this in isolation with all the other changes in chapter 2. I know council asked us to, but I don't think we should be doing it.
Calvin, what time did you join the meeting?
I asked you. Commissioner Hanson, what time did you join the meeting?
At about 7.
Thank you.
Just jot that down.
Okay. Assistant Planning Director Robert, go ahead.
I'm gonna share my screen here.
Cliff, do you have a restroom? Right there.
Actually, yeah,
Right there. Next to the hallway there.
So what I want to talk to you about tonight is, first, I wanted to talk about your docket. So the county council adopted a new docket for you guys a couple of months ago. So I wanted to run through that just so you guys see everything that's on it. Before I jump into that, I want to talk about a couple of things on our web page. So for the comp plan, we have all of the comments that we're receiving from folks are going on our webpage, and I can show you where that's at. What we'll do is we'll package those up and bring those to you in groups as we start to get into issues. So we'll bring in all of those, but you can always go onto the webpage and look at those at any time if you're interested.
We send us a link to that. Not tonight, but you know.
Yep, I'll send you a link to that. Also, our docket is also on our webpage. That's up and available. It looks a little different than this, but it's up and available. And I can show you that here in a couple of minutes if you're very interested. So all of this is on our webpage also. I've organized just in a way to kind of help show you where things are. So you see what you actually need to work on and what you don't. Hopefully you can see that. So first, put forward a facilities plan. What's the council, going to the council here in a couple of weeks. So that's done. On the docket is also a code enforcement amendment. This is not something that a planning commission, it's not a land use issue. It's really just revising the county's code, consolidating all of our code enforcement stuff into one place. Right now it's dispersed between different sections, but this will be coming to the commission. This will just go directly to the council. Then we have, this next list here I've got this is all the stuff that's gonna gets kind of sucked in and addressed through the comp plan. First one is the comp plan. And then we've got some other ones in here. We'll talk more about these as we dig into the comp plan. They'll be part of those discussions. There's a request for UGA expansion. There's a couple of mineral resource land expansion requests that be evaluated through that process. And then there's the agricultural strategic plan. The Ag Committee has made some recommendations specific to this plan in regard to amendments to the comp plan. So that again will get rolled into that bigger comp plan package that comes forward to you here in the next few months. Then we get into the stuff that is going to be coming before you. So the first one on there, the Whatcom County Code Amendments, this is our general code cleanup. So this will be a variety of things, usually minor amendments, non-policy changing items that will come to you. We plan to see this come to you probably mid to late summer. New process timelines. There's a new bill passed by the legislature last year, 5290. You probably hear us talk about this. I've brought it up a few times. We'll talk about it more. 5290 has some required timelines for us. It will also we'll be changing some of our processes and how we approach some of our permitting. And so we'll be bringing that to you again, probably late summer, early fall. We have some timelines on that. We have to implement parts of that, the majority of that by the beginning of next year. That's probably going to be a phase thing. We'll do some initial things to become compliant with the statute, and then we'll probably do some additional changes into the future as we see those changes need to be made just for efficiency and effective on our part. Let me height. I should have can you folks, online, can you guys see this screen? I should just double check that. I'm sorry. Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
okay, sorry. So Lummi Height, this has to do with raising the height limit right now. Lummi Island has the lowest height that we have in the county at 24 feet. We'll be looking at that height to see if that should be raised to be more consistent with some of our other heights in other zones. Clean energy code, that's looking at solar, geothermal, and hydrogen energy. That will, all three of those will be working with our climate impact advisory committee. And right now Cliff is actually working with them on the solar portion of that. That'll be coming to you, we anticipate somewhere towards the end of the year. But again, that's working with that committee to kind of take a first cut at that, just like they did with the wind energy. If you guys remember here a year or so ago. Cannabis in the LAI, retail in the LAI, we'll be bringing that one forward to you. We're looking at that to see if that could fit into the minor code amendments we talked about at the start, that may or may not be in there depending on what that entails. But we'll be looking at that to see if that's a policy shift or not. And then the heavy impact industrial zone, sorry, I should have put this one at the top. Yes. So about that. And then the last one on the list is the capital improvement update. You updated, you made a recommendation to the council for the capital improvement. This will be taken along with our with a comp plan update in September to go with the budget and that. So that'll be kind of the more full capital improvement plan update that looks forward for the next. Actually, this one we're going to propose that for 7 years, but we align with our comp plan too. And that is the docket. Okay. Any questions? You scared? You excited? Hopefully.
Good.
We have our work cut out for us.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It is what it is.
Okay, so we're scheduling that out. We'll be hitting most of these things. Like I say, some are pretty short, some are going to be bigger and take more time.
Commissioner Hanson, go ahead. Commissioner Hanson, I see your hand is raised. Go ahead.
Maybe the one you probably more over the edge.
Yeah, if you are, there you go.
Like your name.
If you wanted to speak, you're muted.
Unmute. I found, okay, they threw me in and threw me back out. Okay, I just said, I think it'd be great if we could have access to the enforcement code. Not that we need to scramble around with it, but people are telling me, what good is the work you're doing in planning since there's so little enforcement? And I know it goes into budget. Somebody said, gee, it depends on neighbors to complain on unpermitted work, things they should, and that sort of thing in the rural areas. And it seems to me that we should have compliance enforcement personnel that are being more proactive in seeing that our regulations are being implemented. So I know they're not going to change this and have this comment, but that's just my comment. Is I think that everything we're doing is of much less value when there isn't stringent enforcement.
I'm also happy to come and give you a little presentation, Commissioner Hanson, if it chooses the commission, just on enforcement, how that works for the county and kind of the current status and where we are and some of the processes involved. If you'd be interested in that, maybe as a to see if that gets you where you're looking to go.
If it's not onerous to the other participants, other commissioners, that'd be fine with me.
Any other comments, commissioners? All right, thank you, Steve, and the meeting is adjourned. Good to see you, Chris. We've seen each other many times.
Okay.
You look just like your brother, so I've seen you many times.